Good morning, everybody. We are Clockwork Productions 2. I'm Luke.
I'm Fraser.
I'm Tom.
And today we're going to talk about digital technology, specifically what ones we use in our production and our coursework.
For the specific question, how did you use new media technologies in the construction and research and planning and evaluation stages of your AS production?
Right,
A2 production,
so should I start us off by talking about WordPress?
Sure.
WordPress is a blog site that we use to help publish our work. So what we did was we got all the work we have created, such as the Final Cut, the storyboards, Wordles, the planning documents,
The audience
feedback, everything we've done was put on WordPress. It was such an easy way to
do everything.
It was, in essence, a sort of logbook or diary of our progress and our work.
It was very efficient to help us organize our work and then collect it, make it easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's good about it is that you can actually go back and change the dates to make sure everything's in order, which is very useful because there were some occasions. Yeah, there were some occasions where we had to put work in later. So instead of just simply sticking it on, we could actually go into the editing and move it back so it was where it belongs.
Yeah.
So for example, with one of our auxiliary tasks for magazine spread, we had that one that we didn't like as much, so just moved it back as a draft.
Yeah, so that worked pretty well. I think WordPress was definitely one of our pinnacles of our complete coursework, and made things so easy to find, so easy to look at, and the fact that everyone was using it in the class, and our teachers made it.
And after AS especially, we saw just how valuable it would be.
Yes. Without it, we probably would have had much greater difficulty keeping everything in order.
So if we had just wrote up physical notes, that would have been more annoying to hold them. While in the shooting, we could just easily pull out our smartphone and just reference it if we felt maybe we wanted to change something or just make sure that something was right.
Talking a bit about WordPress, specifically something we posted on WordPress is using websites like Poll.daddy. We use surveys. I found this particularly useful because it helped me get audience feedback. So easy to do.
The shorthand version of it is basically it's a simplified version of making your own online survey, and because it's linked into WordPress, uploading it to WordPress is so simple.
Then we could just easily give people a link to it, so loads of people would access it at once instead of printing off surveys and handing it out.
We got the entire class doing a survey, and we got 20 results in about a minute, just because how fast people could access it.
It makes things.
It's very efficient.
Easier. Yeah, very efficient. It's very useful.
I do feel there could have been a greater utilization of this tool later on in the stages.
Oh yeah.
Towards the end, is this really what you want?
Feedback.
Yes, perhaps.
I think that would have worked. And talking about a kind of a sister company to WordPress is SlideShare. This is a website that allows us to put PowerPoints and Word documents online, and then we can embed those into the blogs we used. So the blog posts we make. That was particularly useful because we could put up the storyboards that we made, our previous research, so things like going to other conventions and all shooting schedules.
And so I've used it for research tasks.
Yeah, that was what.
Yes,
we used it for magazine spread.
It was the things we made in PowerPoint were simply quicker than making a full-on Prezi for our work, because this was just shorthand notes at this point. Yeah. However, we did end up using Prezi later on for our final evaluation stages of the work, which you might see next time.
Yes.
Okay, so another very useful tool we used was Photoshop.
Oh,
that's so used all the way through the project. So even into our video, we had found a use for it.
Although we had some problems with it.
When it crashed.
It crashed. Yes. It was a bit in the initial stages. Getting to grips with it was a bit difficult, but by the end
we had previous experience.
Yeah, we did have some previous experience. So we more or less got through the entire production using it.
Yeah. We also used this very simple program called GIMP.
Yes, which sounds incredibly dirty, I know, but it's sort of basically that. It's Photoshop but simpler. And we use that for the more simple editing stages.
Yeah, it was pretty effective actually.
So they were very effective, and and the things that we make in it are visible in the final products that we make, like the double page spread.
Yeah, so then also if we felt like it was below standard, we could easily just go back and edit it to make any improvements.
Yeah. There were plenty of times, if you look on our blog, you'll find the first magazine draft, it looked No offense, guys. It looked
yeah, it didn't look
Yeah,
as good as
good.
it could have.
But then, like on the later stages, we've gone from like this to this.
Like something we already like.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing definite progress. Going back to editing, we can talk about the editing programs we use. I think we used quite a variety of editing programs.
Yeah, but
The main one we used was Final Cut.
yeah, which was
Yeah, which was like a
incredibly
complete
useful.
step up from iMovie last year.
So, yeah,
Um, it was wonderful to use simply because all the editing software, it was there and it was easy to do. It was
Yeah.
easy to understand. It was easy to use.
I think one of the tools we used the most was probably the audio split and the blade tool.
Yes,
Very
that,
helpful.
yes.
Yeah.
So we could just like cut it to where we wanted, and it had this cool thing where it would show you exactly where you're cutting and how it's going to seam together.
Yeah, 'cause like when you're like scrolling maybe
Yeah.
back or forward on the timeline,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like it gives you a side by side, so you can like
Yeah.
cut exactly where you want,
Yeah, and also the zoom.
which loads of editing programs
we-
don't do.
Although some of the more technical tools we used were the stabilization tool, which basically, for those of you who don't know, it basically stabilizes the shot by focusing on a single point, and instead of making the image wobble, it focuses on that point so you can't see the wobble itself.
Yeah.
So that was incredibly useful because it meant that we didn't have to constantly just go back and reshoot and check
Yeah.
if it's stable, and then go back and reshoot if it's not stable, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So that was incredibly useful.
The
However,
ability to like import audio is also very helpful for our
Yeah.
voiceovers.
Oh,
Yeah.
With like overlay where we want phrasal talking
Mhm.
at like each point.
Yeah, another editor we used was, I think that Tom...
Yeah, I used Camtasia Studio 8. I used this to make the intro. Basically, I just used some of the animation tools and like some of the transitions, like create a fade effect.
Yeah.
It was very easy to use.
yeah.
Easy to understand.
But as we said, the main one we used was Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
We did
Yeah.
use others.
We used Movie Maker.
Yeah, for other
Yeah.
yeah, we used like
Um,
Movie Maker. Again,
That was
Camtasia.
just
And-
that was just to do little things. Like
Yeah.
videos and things like that.
You've probably seen it by now if you're reading, if you're hearing this anyway. The gag reel and behind the scenes shoot, that we did all in VideoPad Editor, which is sort of like somewhere in between iMovie and Final Cut. So we use that, but we decided against using these sort of programs for like the big stuff, like the actual project.
Something else, it didn't have enough. It couldn't have as much as Final Cut. Pro.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically Final Cut Pro was better.
yeah,
so we stuck.
it's in the name. It's the pro part that pretty much shows it all.
Uh-huh.
So then just the last thing is we also used the website Maker Wix to make this domain
Yeah.
for our evaluation.
So you're probably finding this on the website, which is hopefully live. If not, we are so sorry. But it's basically a simple website. It's sort of like the WordPress of website makers.
Yeah.
You just simply enter like your details and just say, I want this, and I want this, and you can get it. Some of it costs, but most of this is done for free.
Yeah.
Much like WordPress, honestly.
Yeah, it is basically like WordPress.
And then we can briefly talk about things that we would have wanted
Yes.
to use. I think one of the things we did on was better sound software.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, we needed
If we had like maybe like a microphone.
You'll probably become aware of, if you're not aware of it, you will be now. There is a constant background like hiss in
Yeah.
our final piece.
Yeah, this just came from like the fans.
Yeah,
and stuff in the room.
fans,
Because
like,
it was really cold that
Sadly,
day.
we couldn't get rid of most of that.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think Final Cut really had
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. At the same time, if we had microphones, that would have gotten rid of
Yeah.
it. quite easily.
Yeah, maybe it could also been like
Yeah.
quite helpful to use Audacity or something to see if we could have removed the audio.
Yeah.
Specifically, I would have liked to have used a shotgun or directional mic,
Oh yeah.
just simply because it would have picked up the audio so much better than what we did. And
Yeah,
get
because
rid
we
of the
were doing it
background
from the
noise.
cameras.
Yeah, instead of using the internal microphones, using something like it was a shotgun or directional one, it would just made it so much of a almost better production in that sense. I think the only problem we really had was just that bit of static every now and again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think getting the voicing was alright, but then again, it's still quite noticeable. It's still a little bit.
Yeah. One other thing that I would have liked to have changed was the fact that the version of Photoshop we used crashed.
Yes.
And this was incredibly annoying. So it presented the opportunity. I'd have loved to have go back and actually have some sort of Photoshop that didn't crash on me, and we lost all of our work.
Yeah.
But that's sort
There's
of
also
just
maybe
like
a potential that like you just didn't save.
Yeah.
It was,
Often enough.
it was a shame that it happened. We definitely would have preferred to use something a bit more
But
consistent, a bit
Yeah.
more efficient. But
overall, it was quite good for what it was. Despite the bugs, we got the work finished in
We
the end.
still managed to make a piece that we're all proud of.
And I think that pretty much does it.
Yes. Yeah, so this has been Clockwork Productions. Thanks for listening. We won't see you next time because this is the last one. So, bye-bye.
Thank you.